kind of a funky signal. I'm sorry. You know how it is. But I'm excited what we started yesterday. You, Britt Mink, Preacher's Kid, Grammy Pam, Sparkling Liberty. I have to finish my Johnny Enlow scope with Liberty Joe. I keep getting interrupted. That means a lot to me, Liberty Joe. Even when you're awake and you haven't had your coffee, I like the sound of your voice. And Gloria and Sunburst and Raylene. Preacher's Kid, thank you so much for sharing and for all you guys tweeting and tweeting. We make it through the valley. That's right. A bit wonky, but I got you. It's wonky. I'm sorry. Think of it almost like an illustrated podcast, that you listen to these podcasts and they have one image every 5 minutes or something. Maybe Chicago, Iceman, glad you're here. Who else? Touched by Prayer, thank you so much. That's cool. Guys, you were praying for my little town last week, and I got to tell you, we mobilized and some awesome things happened. And I'll have to be discreet, but wow. I want to thank you for your prayers, and I want to thank you. Good morning. And I got to do some prayer ministry with one of my spiritual children on the other side of the globe this morning. And Yeshua is so good. Scopes with Wonky is powerful. That's right. What expected. And we shifted the atmosphere and the debate and the discussion and the influence in a powerful way. And we've got some other estate. And we are seeing some stuff break loose. And it's really cool. It's really cool. I've been in a prayer group for over 10 years praying for my town and for our area and our state house and stuff. So that's right, because we stick it out no matter what. Come on, Touched by Prayer. That's exactly right. And what's exciting is that as we talk, we talk globally, but really, I am really starting to see now the arrow being an arrow of God into the, when I say all politics is local, right? And we need to take responsibility for the shepherding. As it says, I went back to look at Jeremiah 29. I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. You know that one? Starts out with, hey, you're in exile. Hey, by the way, you're in exile. And it says, go ahead and have kids and build businesses while you're there and seek the welfare of your city. And he says, and I feel like that's what happened when the Obama era happened. I feel like I woke up one day and read Jeremiah 29 and backed up and went, oh my gosh. He said, don't believe the prophets that say you're getting out of this easily. You're in exile, kids, and I want you to seek the welfare of your city. I want you to be an influence. I want you to lay groundwork, infrastructure, right? For I know the plans I have for you. And now I feel like we shifted over into the for I know the plans I have for you. Now we're shifting into that infrastructure that was built during that time of the move out of, captivity, so to speak. I don't know, just a thought as we move forward. And in any event, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit this subject. I'm going to go ahead and start teaching on this because it's really, really important. And I hope it gets out there because this is super valuable. No, it doesn't go that way. It goes this way. The eye of the storm. I want to talk to you about when you're seeking healing from trauma. We did an in-depth thing on hey Pepper. We did an in-depth thing on forgiveness and how that works. And then I went through about forgiving God because they're still about God. And something did shift yesterday. Don't you feel it? Was it so cool? And so we talked about actually having to release God in a sense of I got a mosquito floating around here, so if I have to kill it, just bear with me. And having to release God from our offense, the way we feel like he's offended us. That was super powerful scope, and you might want to go back and take a look at that. But I want to talk to you today about the eye of the storm, which is where it's the most intense. When you're really hurt and traumatized, several things happen. Obviously, we believe things, don't we? So if all are neurosis, and then they can be unlearned, which is to me the biggest revelation, one of them that the Lord ever showed me, that I could learn to feel safe, that I could. Thing is that then you have to understand, you have to begin to peel back what are the pieces that bring you out of a traumatized state and into a state of. So we've been talking about that, and I had slashed the canvas with a knife, and then I stabilized it with duct tape, and then I put this kind of compound over it, and used this as an illustration for forgiveness, forgiving others, and dealing with bitterness against God. But I want to talk to you about one of the biggest things that happens, especially out of our most significant traumas, and that is the I will, the I statements, the I vows that we make out of pain in an attempt to keep ourselves safe the next time. And I seem to have taught about these once every year. So I thought, wow, it's funny, it came to my mind, and I went looking through some papers, and this was stuck in with these papers, not even filed in the right department, because I had made this available to you guys. Remember, some of you last year, if you emailed me, I gave you this whole little worksheet on working through inner vows. Well, when we are harmed, especially in childhood, and something feels like such a deep injustice and betrayal, you guys, that God has given you such a strong ego, such a sense that you're supposed to be on the earth. When something incredibly damaging hits us, that's betrayal. That's not fair. Isn't that interesting? That generally speaking, the human ego comes out with an awareness that there's something wrong when you've been violated. I tried so hard down. I just wanted to be loved, and I was devastated with rejection. All I wanted was a friend, and at this lake as a child where I felt peace. And when my parents sold the property next door, it was one of the most bitter betrayals of my whole life, because this was the only place I had ever felt whole and peaceful and alive. And they sold it. You wonder how we got this part? I'll tell you. But I remember when my parents decided to sell that piece of property. Ooh, mosquito bite. It got me. I was incensed on a level of betrayal I can't even describe. Bitter gall in my soul over them selling the one thing in my life, my one place that felt safe and secure and where I felt alive. And I remember I said, I will, I will never forgive you for this. I will never forget what you have done to me. Total. When you feel something that deeply, especially as a child, your eye of the storm is viscerally almost carved into your cells. I will never forget what you've done to me. I will never forgive you. And that's what I did. I have my husband's mom, sister, made a statement, I will never have children. She had to take care of their ailing mother. And she took care of her and took care of her and took care of her. And so in her mind, she was like, I will never have children. I don't ever want to do this again. Until she did. And she had set in motion barrenness. And it became a lifelong grief. How about this? I will never let a man touch me again. So deep, carving into our consciousness. Ministering to a young man who was questioning his gender attractions. And he just said, well, this is what I am. I'm this thing, I don't think I can be a Christian because, this is what I am. So I ministered to him, and it turned out he was an incest victim. His mother. And what did he say? As he was utterly repulsed by the female body. Repulsed, repulsed. And he said, I will never let a woman touch me. I will never let a woman get close to me. I hate women's bodies. I will never let a man control me again. I won't let a man control me again. I will never trust another doctor. I will never forgive what that person did to me. I could practically carve a new wound into this thing, even after all the forgiveness and the stabilization. When we make the ultimate I statements, my friends, we set in motion things we can't even possibly imagine. Another dear friend who's of strange relationships that always brought trauma and strange lust issues, doing stupid things in stupid situations with unhealthy people and destroying other families. And up came a memory of this friend being young and being in such a dysfunctional family and feeling so safe and saying, I will never be a family like this. I will never do this. I will never participate in this. I won't let anything like I will make my was the rudder that kept this person in a cycle of addiction. And what happens out of the vow is that we use the power of our will, and God lets us do it. Forgive. And it's my core, my will, my emotion, my passion, my intention against whatever it is or toward whatever it is in an act of fleshly self-protection and bitterness. It will leave a mark in the path of your life. And trauma of all show someone always destroyed and always ruined, tormented by the loss, tormented by the, and I had, and then I had to break that vow that my husband bought from my dad. He sold the original property, which was just untouched and glorious. And the people who bought it didn't do such good things with it. But he had saved a slice. And how was I to know that years and years later, when I ever have known that? I was so busy. I will never forgive you. I will always forget. This will always hurt. And I'm not going to let anyone in my reach me here. Very powerful. And the I wills, the vows, really stand in the way of the true healing of the trauma. Little review. There's the knowing purpose. And he says, like to Mary Magdalene, now there's a woman who's a worshiper. There's a woman with a passionate heart. There's a beauty. Boy, she brings beauty to the earth. And the enemy says, great, we'll just traumatize her with some sexual abuse. We'll just traffic her. She'll be human trafficked. We'll just so destroy her that she'll be demonized. You see? Connection in worship. It's can be earth and into things around us. And so we're super extra triggered and terrorized when we're unhealed. And then we're terrorized by in the step free. Right, guy? And we determined that however much effort it took the enemy to teach us how to be terrified, we're going to put at least that much effort into letting God heal us and teach us how to be whole, right? So we talked about the ringing around you. Show you Jack. This is Jack. Hey. Jack's the realize that God's given you every forgive. In addition to your trauma, you have to come to terms with what was your I statement. What were your that fitting? See, a new broke the vow. Absolutely. And I can't be who he is as more memories and snippet here or another self subscribed determination and then with my other these and tendencies toward I have to battle this. I think I can say by our word of what encourage the world, right?
Conscious interval would
Did you even know?
more hearts.
The problem is my connectivity. What Soviet New York City and
Hey.
so from
Tomorrow maybe.
yeah maybe huh?
My interval.
A fun day. Jesus had me in the eye of the storm. You know, somebody who's dealing with a lot of trauma. You know, share these also the healing of our nation because we've been renounce and